T.S.F is a centre-half, filling in at left-back, who had not scored and barely even had a shot in 32 appearances for Manchester City. So, in a game of beautiful bedlam, it was fitting that the Croatian should hammer home a corker to put Manchester City into pole position for next Wednesday's second leg of this clash of European footballing royalty.
When Jack Grealish cut back from the left, Gvardiol's first touch was awful, almost gifting possession to Toni Kroos, but his second touch was a goal, as let rip from outside the area and propelled City into the lead. Federico Valverde volleyed a brilliant equaliser but, having survived some prime real showboating and trailed for the majority of the game, City will be thrilled to go back to Manchester on level terms.
Bernardo Silva had netted a stunning second-minute free kick only for Eduardo Camavinga and Rodrigo to seize the lead for the 14-time champions of Europe. But Phil Foden netted a brilliant leveller, his 22nd goal of a stellar season, before Gvardiol fired the City's second City cannonball in the space of 5 minutes.
Read more on FOOTBALLCHEEKY Devils De Gea and Fernandes pose in Dumb and Dumber pick. Troll X-Man United pal Hot Wheels win a stunning Mercedes G-Wagon plus £5,000 from just 89p with our code. What an absolute belter of a game this was, between the current champions of Europe and the side which has ruled the continent most often. Somehow City always seem to end up here for a knockout tie. It was the fourth time in 5 seasons and Pep Guardiola's side had won 2 of the previous 3.
It always feels like some sort of final, the best team in the world against the grandest club in the world, managed by the 2 most successful bosses of the Champions League era, Guardiola and Carlo Ancelotti. Maybe it will be the final before long, or maybe the City project will be torpedoed by the myriad financial charges facing them, to be settled in the timescale of expensive lawyers.
Most Red in Football Absolute Joke fans travel 5 hours only to see game called off minutes before kickoff. Stars ordeal. Ex-Liverpool star Danny Murphy opens up on cocaine addiction after retiring. Terror scare. Arsenal release statement after ISIS threat to Emirates before CL clash. Ring of Steel. Europe on guard over ISIS threat to Champions League including Arsenal game. Casino special. Best casino welcome offers last season. Kevin De Bruyne scored here in a 1-1 draw. This time, the Belgian was on the bench, but he'd been suffering from a stomach upset rather than a Guardiola brainstorm.
Real was splashed 4-0 at the Etihad in the return leg last season, but that was pre-Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham stunned after journalist asks if he wants to go home with her. These days the Madrid metro system teems with Latin men wearing the name of a lanky 20-year-old Brummie lad on the back of their replica shirts.
But it was another Brummie who lit the fuse on this firecracker, just a minute in. Jack Grealish stormed towards the Real box and was halted by a wrecking ball challenge from Aurelien Tchouameni, who was booked and will miss the Etihad return next week.
Real was set up for a crossed free kick, so Bernardo leathered it towards the near post where a sprawling Andre Lunin Haaland almost made it 2 with a shot which Real's Ukrainian keeper beat away in a chaotic scramble.
This vast old cooking pot had its lid on last night, a new retractable roof to improve the acoustics because there was nothing inclement about the weather. For a while it was merely increasing the volume of the whistling and whinging of the Madridistas.
Not for long, though. Their showman struck up the music and for a spell it was as if they were playing while whistling Sweet Georgia Brown. Real, at their best, have always been football's Harlem Globetrotters, making exhibition match stooges of their opposition.
Suddenly there were back heels, nutmegs and Cruyff turns as Real attacked with speed and sorcery. Had Vinicius Jr. pulled a bunch of flowers out of his sleeve, it would not have been out of place.
When Kylian Mbappé turns up here this summer, they are going to need 2 balls. The equalizer was fortuitous. Camavinga cut in from the right and his shot took a massive deflection off Ruben Dias to wrong-foot Stefan Ortega, surprisingly keeping his place ahead of a fit-again Ederson. The second was a pearl. Vinicius released Rodrigo down the left and the Brazilian turned full roadrunner, outpacing Manuel Akanji, giving Ortega the eyes.
Then he rolled a cute finish casually inside the far post, with just enough pace to find the back of the net, like a snooker player resting the cue ball against the baulk cushion. Teams very rarely do this sort of thing to City and they didn't take it well. Akanji was booked for a foul on Vinicius, then the locals demanded a red when he piled into Rodrigo.
City were missing Kyle Walker. They were missing proper full-backs in general. Why has Pep taken against them as a breed? Bellingham was performing so many back heels, you wondered if he had his boots on back to front. He was getting carried away and risked a yellow which could have earned a suspension.
Early in the second half, Bellingham feinted, sending 2 City defenders to the Nacho stand, but shot narrowly wide. Then Vinicius fired over after a Hollywood pass from Toni Kroos. Rodri's radar was on the blink, Camavinga was bossing midfield and at one point Haaland was charging back to win a tackle in the right-back position.
But then City began to get a grip, pinning Real back and Foden seized his moment. Bernardo darted down the right and fed Stones who rolled a pass for his fellow England man to lash home a left-footed shot.
Foden raced to the bench where he and Guardiola shared a manic celebration. Then came Gvardiol's moment of unlikely genius and City thought they were heading back to the Etihad with a lead. Naturally, Vinicius soon wheeled away down the left and delivered a lofted square pass which Valverde walloped home on the volley.
Read more Son STORIESFUNERAL fund George Gilby's family struggling to raise money for Gogglebox star's funeral down the drain slug lettuce bars among thousands of pubs at risk. What a game. What a treat. If you had any plans to go out next Wednesday night, cancel them. Unless you're an Arsenal fan, the second leg is unmissable.